What was I thinking? Why didn't I lock the door? Oh, I can't believe I said that. John's Shame Well. That's right, listeners. If you thought the temperatures were soaring outside, well, wait until you get down into the shame well. Hot, molten shame. And this week's is an absolute belter. And I have to say, the correspondent has my sympathies, Elis. Here we go. In 1999, I was 18. In university and dating a girl who was my everything. We'd been together for almost 3 months when it was her birthday. I bought her a big bunch of flowers, reserved a restaurant, and made a mix CDR of all her favourite songs. Nice that you made it on a CDR so that she could wipe over it if she got tired of it.
Yeah.
I cycled the 7 miles to her house where her parents, in retrospect cruelly, let me in and sent me up to her room. I opened the door and the love of my life was stark naked with our 40-plus-year-old tutor, posed like a sordid DVD cover. I stood in the doorway, unable to process the heartbreaking tableau before me, and for some reason did all I could think to do and go, aha! Like I'd discovered a vital clue in an ongoing inquiry. I walked out of her house, never to return. Until I got about a mile down the road and remembered I'd forgotten my bike. I returned to her house, still carrying the flowers, just as she was letting our tutor out and kissing him goodbye.
Oh, my Gideon.
Feeling devastated, I took a deep breath and mustered up the courage to say something. See you Monday, I said to our tutor as my soul shriveled to the size of an eyelash.
Oh, well, I hit him for a kick-off.
Yeah. Then, in an act of utterly bewildering chivalry, I handed the flowers to the object of my dream and said, may as well have these.
Oh.
I decided to do what any wronged red-blooded male would do. I got a low-paid job that afternoon and never went back to university. The shameful part of this story takes place 13 years later.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
It's 2012. I go to Tesco with my wife, who is 3 weeks away from giving birth to our first child. As we got out of the car, an identical one to ours, a Ford Focus, pulled in next to us, and I, being hilarious, loudly said, what sort of idiot drives a car like that?
Nice, nice.
The driver of the Focus got out, a big muscular gym boy type guy.
Oh, dear.
He must have heard my little joke and glared at me saying, I do, you expletive deleted. Out of the passenger side got my ex-girlfriend, still as stunning as she was all those years ago. My heart ached at the memory. She looked at me and shook her head before grabbing her partner by the bum and kissing him for far too long.
She sounds like an idiot as well.
In the supermarket, I went off to get milk, and when I returned, my wife and ex-girlfriend were meters away from one another. Some stupid masculine part of my brain said I should do what she had done, so I purposefully strode over, intent on slapping my heavily pregnant wife by the bottom. Ooh. Now, maybe it's because it's not the sort of thing I would normally do, or I was disorientated seeing my ex for the first time in 13 years, but I hesitated, looked away pretending to browse something on the shelves. I'll do it, I thought, and I quickly slapped the woman in front of me on the behind.
No.
I realised as I did so what you've already guessed. While I was looking at some Dr. Pepper, they had moved. I was in fact slapping my ex-girlfriend on the bottom in front of my pregnant wife. The colour drained out of me as she spun angrily around. I wanted to die. I weighed up my options. I thought you were someone else, wouldn't cut it, so I tried to style it out and said, hi, you're looking well. My wife stared in disbelief. My ex called me some rude names and marched off, and my wife said that she would wait for me in the car until I'd finished assaulting women. I finished the shopping and waited for my ex to leave the shop before I did, so I wouldn't bump into her. I dawdled and dithered for a good 15 minutes before sheepishly going back to the car to explain my thought processes as best as I could to my beautiful wife. This is the best bit. I then proceeded to open my ex's boot and load half my shopping in it, while my wife stared in disbelief from the car next to it, until my ex's new man threw me to the ground and angrily threw our shopping across the car park. Please absolve me of this shame, even though I'm aware there's a lot to be ashamed about. Well, anonymous shamey, I would say you, sir, are the wronged party.
Yes!
In that anecdote.
You've done nothing wrong, mate. You've made a couple of mistakes because you weren't of sound mind, because you were wronged big time back in 99.
Yes, I would have to say probably more the older tutor who was abusing his position of responsibility.
He sounds like a tube.
He sounds like an absolute tube.
Yeah. I'm not impressed with the ex either, to be perfectly honest.
But at 18, these are why obviously they don't apply at university. It's all sort of technically legal, but I would say maybe not above board. But
so it's frowned upon, but you can't go to prison.
Well, is it or isn't it? I think it is.